And hello, Savannah. Thanks for having tuned into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And thanks for having tuned in. Wednesday afternoon, we have reached the hump day. So everything's going to go well for the rest of this week. And in my show here, Real Estate Real Talk, we talk about anything and everything related to real estate investing, landlords, tenants, all kinds of things, anything and everything related to houses and stuff. So thanks for having tuned in. I'm a local real estate investor. I'm also an Airbnb host here in town in Savannah, and I've published a number of ebooks related to that topic and many other topics related to real estate. Have an active YouTube channel, so if you want to know more about me, you can always go to YouTube and just type in my name, Julia M. Spencer. And on today's show, I brought in sort of an interview. It was kind of like an ad hoc interview I had with a loan officer who specializes in reverse mortgages. Now, if you know anything about me, I have published a number of, actually a very small number comparatively, of YouTube videos on my YouTube channels related to reverse mortgages. And it all came about when a friend asked me what I thought of reverse mortgages. Are they a good idea? They've heard so many bad things. People have lost their houses and things like that. And me, as sort of like amateur journalist that I am here on my show, I always want to see both sides of the story. In fact, that's probably a good advice to anybody here listening and anybody who's a journalist or anybody who investigates anything, to see both sides and open your ears and eyes to everything that everybody has to say, and then evaluate all these things that people say to come to the truth. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with this show today. I've made 2 videos that had a lot of response on YouTube, a lot of comments, a lot of views, and it was basically alternatives to reverse mortgages. I've also interviewed a individual, an elderly gentleman from California who had considered a reverse mortgage, but then listening to my videos kind of decided against it. And I'm kind of closing the circle here, and I also found now, thank goodness, a loan officer who specializes in reverse mortgages. So if you're elderly and you're considering reverse mortgages, this might be a really good show here to listen to for you in order to see all sides of the story and kind of make up your decision of whether it's something for you or not. Now, of course, if you kind of tune in late and you don't catch all of the show, I will be publishing it on the WRUU.org website. All you have to do is go to WRUU.org. You can go to Wednesdays at noon. You'll see my face there on the show, and there'll be the archives of all the shows that I've played in the past and published in the past. And also, what I usually do is once the show is a little bit more edited, I place it on my YouTube channel, so it'll be there for all eternity. So you can always go back and listen to what we've discussed and kind of get your information from there. But while I get this interview ready, I'm going to play you a little bit of a break song here, and I'll be right back. This one's from The Cure, Close to Me. Gotta be quick with my buttons, so the song stops so abruptly. That was The Cure with Close to Me, a little happy tune here for you for a Wednesday. My name is Julia M. Spencer. You're listening to Real Estate Real Talk. Thanks for having tuned in. And I have brought with me an interview that I've conducted with a loan officer that specializes in reverse mortgages. And I'm going to play that here for you. Just wanted to give you a brief heads up that in the beginning of the interview, we have a little bit of background noise. So just bear with me there. Kind of turn down your radio dial if it gets a little too loud. We get better with time. But I kind of got caught off guard there when she called me. And I'm like, I'm going to press the record button. Good information here to share with Savannah listeners. So here we go. Her name is Terie Bradshaw. And she talks a little bit more about reverse mortgages and some of the changes that have happened since that product came on the market first many years ago.
Mainly, I have a client that I thought, couple things really, but I have a client that I thought you might have somebody who could help him. Him and his wife tried to do a reverse mortgage with me a couple years ago. Everything went good. But then all of a sudden she refused to close on the loan. She has since passed away and left him in the worst. And people don't understand how important this is for seniors. It's an incredible opportunity. But anyway, now he is left with less income and cannot afford the house payment on his own and is about to lose his house. And he built this house himself. So what he's looking for is somebody who's an investor to do like a solo 401k or a self-directed IRA and buy his house and give him a life estate and let him live in it until he passes away. But he will sell the house at, a greatly reduced cost.
Okay. So let me just backtrack. You were a realtor or a loan officer that helps them with
I'm a loan officer. Yeah, I specialize in reverse mortgages.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I'm glad I got somebody from that side on because I usually only speak to the people
Julie,
that are disgruntled.
Julia,
Yes.
I need to teach you about it because once you learn about it, there's been so many changes to it. It's not like your mom and pop old reverse mortgage. I mean, I have very savvy investors who use this loan today as an investment tool. Financial planners are using it as their bucket, in their bucket of sustainable financing for, their clients. They're using it too because it lets a senior keep their investments that they've had all these years intact. So like let's say you've worked for 30 years and you've retired and now you're living on less income. Instead of and your house is paid for. Instead of tapping into those investments that are making you money, you can leverage the equity in your home as an investment. And the way it works is like, let's say somebody has a $400,000 house that's paid for. I can give them a line of credit, and this is just simplified, of about half, so let's say $200,000. And I tell people it's like me putting $200,000 in a big piggy bank in your backyard. You don't owe a dime of that unless you take the money out. But what you leave in that piggy bank and you don't take out and you don't use acts like a guaranteed savings account. FHA is guaranteeing that money will grow. And right now it's growing at 5.9%. So that's why financial advisors and seniors who have their houses paid for are using it. And if there's another way to use it, which I've only had 2 people that were smart enough to do it, where your money can actually grow as the interest rates go up, and your money could grow at 11 to 13%. So it's just an incredible opportunity today, and I'm so glad you called me back because it is an opportunity that is so misunderstood in the marketplace.
Yeah, the only question I had was that the people that have come to me is that the closing costs are just always so astronomical, and also the fact that it's possible that upon death that the house is not worth what the loan is, and then they'll either lose their house or they can't sell it.
Nope, that's what the mortgage.
Whoever inherits it. Yeah.
That's what the mortgage insurance is there for. It protects the senior from all of that. Number one, it protects the heirs. So the heirs are never responsible for the loan. Like, let's say the senior does pass away. Let's say the senior's tapped into every dime they've had available to them, and for some reason when they pass away, the market has gone down in their area instead of going up. Their value has gone down, and now when they pass away, they no longer have any equity. Well, the heirs can walk away. There's a non-recourse loan. They don't owe anything. The heirs also have the opportunity. Let's say like there's a grandchild or somebody who says, oh, I want grandma's house. He's 25, 26 years old, has never bought a house. He can buy that house for 95% of the then appraised value. So he's guaranteed also to be able to buy that house, no matter what they owe on it, for 95% of the appraised value.
Mm-hmm. Well, that all sounds really good, actually. And I'm kind of surprised and not sure. I mean, I've heard different stories from different sides, obviously, and I always try to give both sides the opportunity to speak on myself for sure. But the question was always, I have people approach me in there, and actually you even did, that there are some situations where a senior could lose their home or is on the brink of, and that's the situation I think that you came to me with.
Yeah, I'm helping a lady right now who's over 12 months behind on her house payment. Where else could she get help? Her husband passed away. She can't, like this guy, she can't afford the house on her own. See, the problem with Jack Dickey is he doesn't have enough equity to do this loan. So I can't do the reverse mortgage for him now. I could back then. It's a long story, but anyway, it just didn't work out back then. But this lady's 12 months behind. I'm going to save her from foreclosure. There's no other mortgage out there that can do that. Plus, you can make payments. A lot of people don't understand that, seniors. They don't want to do that because they want to pay their house off. They don't, because everybody thinks, well, with a reverse mortgage, you don't make payments. It's true. Why would you? I wouldn't if I didn't have to, but if you want to pay the house off, like let's say you only owe $30,000 on your house, and you do the reverse mortgage, you can still make house payments, but the nice thing is it's not required. So, like I had a lady in California whose daughter and 3 grandkids lived in Gulf Shores, Alabama. She did the reverse mortgage. She says, I'm going to keep making payments, but I'm going to take off 3 months. Instead of making a house payment, I'm going to go rent a condo down there on the beach for 3 months so I can spend some quality time with my family. So, a house payment isn't required. You can do it if you want to keep making payments, but you don't have to. Medical issues, you're in the hospital. You don't have to worry about it, Okay. There's so many advantages for seniors. It's unbelievable. So I really, really can't tell you, Julia, how much I appreciate you calling and just being willing to listen. It's amazing how many people just shut the door. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They've got negativity from the way the loan used to be. And yes, you lost your house. When the reverse mortgages first came out, 20 some years ago or whatnot, they were set up by lenders. The lender took title to the house. Basically, the senior was just living in the house rent-free until they passed away, which is what Jack Dickey wants to do. That's what he wants to do. He just wants to live rent-free. But that's the way it used to be, but the investor, the lender, owned title to the house, so the kids didn't get anything. That's when FHA stepped in. FHA's been doing this for probably 16 years or so, and when FHA stepped in, now the senior still remains entitled to the house. It's just like any other mortgage now. It's just a lien against the title. And the nice thing is the senior can control how much they own. Either owe to the bank, either they don't make a payment or they do. They can kind of control that balance a little bit if they want to.
And thanks for having tuned into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. The discussion you just heard was with a loan officer that specializes in reverse mortgages. And I apologize if I got her name wrong. Her name is Terie Bradford, and she is with the Federal Savings Bank. And she'll tell a little bit later about how to reach her if you wanted to get more information. My show here, Real Estate Real Talk, we talk about anything and everything about real estate mortgages, specifically reverse mortgages on this show here today. It is Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for having tuned in. And I'm going to continue playing this interview here in a few minutes. But since we are almost at the bottom of the hour, I just wanted to give you a couple of announcements here. And we'll be right back with the regular scheduled program here.
The Humane Society of Greater Savannah's mission is to better the lives of pets and people. They provide pet adoptions, a low-cost spay and neuter clinic, a surrender prevention program, dog training classes, pet rehoming, and the Pets for Patriots Partnership, among other services. For more information, visit humanesocietysav.org.
And if you have listened to our radio station this last week, I wanted to thank you profusely for having listened and having participated in our pledge drive. Thank you, of course, to everyone who made a donation during WRUU's on-air membership campaign. If you didn't join us during our 2-week fundraiser, though, there's always time to become part of our radio community at wruu.org. We're still counting everything coming in and would love to hear from you. In the meantime, our fundraising team is getting your t-shirts, bumper stickers, and gift certificates ready to go. We appreciate your support so much. And now, enjoy this program knowing that you helped make it possible. But on today's show here, Real Estate Real Talk, we're talking with Terie Bradford. She works with the Federal Savings Bank, and she specializes in reverse mortgages. And I wanted to bring her on the show and kind of interview her, kind of share that interview with you to tell you a little bit the different side of reverse mortgages, because I've gotten so much interest and so much feedback on my YouTube videos here in the past that I published about real estate investing, specifically reverse mortgages. And I have to admit, I've been a little bit ignorant about the topic, so I decided to research a little bit further and was able to catch Terie here to give me a little bit more feedback about how reverse mortgages are really done these days and some of the changes since FHA has stepped in to regulate them a little bit more. I'm going to play the rest of this video now, and hopefully you enjoy it with me.
Mm-hmm. But when you look at an amortization schedule, you'll see in the amortization schedule that usually if there's equity in the home and you have a line of credit that's where the money is growing, that growth on that money usually within the first 2 or 3 years has made up for the cost of the loan. So the rest of the growth is just free. And then it'll usually also show that even if the client never pays a dime on the payments, the heirs are still going to inherit more down the road than they would today, because FHA thinks that the cost of the loan is less than the anticipated increased value in the house over time. They're using a 4% annual increase in the value of the house on their amortization schedule. So,
Gotcha.
So they think the cost of the loan is less, because remember, we're only loaning usually less than half of what the house is worth. So we're not loaning 95% or anything.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's interesting to know. Now, a lot of people were also very concerned, ones at least that I were in contact with, about the closing costs. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Is that usually factored into the loan, or how does that work?
Yeah, they're into the loan. The only out-of-pocket expenses, they have 2 out-of-pocket expenses. One is FHA requires counseling, HECA counseling, and that's usually $125. Some of the counseling agencies will let them finance it and pay it at closing, but a lot of them will make it and pay it up front. So that's up to the borrower to call different agencies and see what their guidelines are. The other thing is the cost of the appraisal, $500 to $600 usually. The cost of the appraisal is an upfront fee, but everything else is rolled into the loan. There's 3 fees that are in the loan. You've got your mortgage insurance, which is 2%, your upfront mortgage insurance, which is 2% of the value of the house. So whatever the house value is, you're going to pay 2% of that upfront, and that's going to come out of the loan. You have whatever we charge to do the loan, usually around $2,500 or sometimes more, just that varies. And then you have the regular closing costs like you do on any loan. Your title insurance, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's usually around $2,000 to $3,000 as a rule, somewhere in that ballpark. It depends on where they're at. It goes by zip code. If you're on the east or west coast, those closing costs could be more than $6,000. So, but the nice thing is, if you pay those, they are tax deductible. They're not tax deductible if you don't pay them. So if a senior, I've had a few seniors who just paid those fees up front and paid it with cash, brought cash to the table, paid them, then those are tax deductible. The same thing with the interest and the mortgage insurance, that there's a mortgage of 0.5% that's calculated annually on the mortgage insurance. Those 2 are also tax deductible if they pay them. So if they make payments, those are tax deductible.
Okay. And how long do the reverse mortgages usually go for? I mean, we're talking about senior citizens who may not have all that many years.
Yeah, the amortization schedule usually goes out to age 99.
99. Okay.
Yeah, and we also have a proprietary product that I think is incredible. And we can do reverse mortgages in certain states. What state are you in?
I'm in the state of Georgia.
Okay, you're in Georgia. That's right. I think that's how I got your name. Georgia isn't on this list. But there's a lot of states, and we'll be getting more, who we have what's called a home safe loan, where I could do the reverse mortgage of up to a $4 million property. So, you get somebody buying $1 million condo, they could buy it for about $500,000 down instead of paying a whole $1 million and keep that other $500,000 in their pocket. So, and not have a house payment. You still don't have a payment. You just pay your taxes, and that's the only way they could lose the house. I meant to tell you that earlier. The only way they could ever be a default and lose their house is if they didn't pay taxes or insurance or HOA, flood insurance, whatever they have to pay. Or let's say there's a storm that comes through and it damaged the house and the insurance company gave them $10,000 for a new roof, and instead of putting a new roof on the house, they went to Cancun or something, So, that they have to maintain the property. So, okay, that kind of thing. That's the only thing that could put them in default and let them lose their house.
Okay. So basically the owner or the person that takes up the reverse mortgage is actually, I'm really glad you answered the questions because I've actually never talked to a loan officer. And it was very interesting because even the way I made the videos that are on there, not very many, is because somebody else asked me and I'm like, well, I don't know, but this is what I heard. So it's good to get to the bottom of things.
I've been at this for 8 years, and you'll find a lot of loan officers that do reverse mortgages don't stay in it for very long because it's not an easy product. My biggest problem, Julia, is getting referrals. That's my biggest problem with the Federal Savings Bank, where I'm working now. Where I used to work, the lender bought leads for me on the Internet. I'd come into work in the morning, and I'd always have about 10 leads a day of people I could call. Now, I have to go find them myself. That's the biggest problem for me personally. But, it's just getting clients who are interested. Once they learn it, if they're open to hear it and talk about it, very few people that I talk to and that I explain the loan to don't want to do it. They're, oh wow, I didn't know that. It's kind of like your comment. I didn't realize that. That's awesome, and that's what I hear 9 times out of 10. Or it's a child that doesn't want their parents to do it because they're worried about their inheritance or whatever, or they're just worried that their parents are being taken advantage of or whatnot. Those are probably the biggest hurdles to overcome right there.
Thanks for having tuned into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. Today's interview focuses on reverse mortgages if you just tuned in. Thanks for having tuned in. And I am actually speaking to Terie Bradford. She is with the Federal Savings Bank. She's a loan officer that specializes in reverse mortgages. Wanted to kind of bring the other side of the story here to you in terms of the changes that have happened to the reverse mortgage product since the FHA has stepped in a couple of years ago to regulate it a little bit better. And we will be right back with this interview after a little bit of a break song here. And this one is going to be by Disclosure, Moonlight. I'll be right back. Some Disclosure today, Moonlight. We have the opposite of moonlight out there today, Savannah listeners. It's sunshine and bright and sunny out there, unlike yesterday. And thanks for having tuned in to Real Estate Real Talk. This is Julia M. Spencer. You have tuned into my Wednesday noon show. And on today's show, we're talking about reverse mortgages. Specifically, I brought in an interview with a loan officer that specializes in reverse mortgages, Terie Bradford. And I'm going to continue playing that interview now so you can get some more information about the topic. Here it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, a lot of the hurdles also that I've heard is that people are like, well, I would like to have a little bit extra income on the side, but I still am responsible for maintenance and taxes and any
Correct.
association fees, and they want like no payments at all, but you actually do have to have some sort of income to cover those expenses.
Yes, they
right?
do. Now, yes, they do. Now, there is what's called a residual income requirement now. And it's usually like $550, $560 for one person, $800 or $900 for two people. I'd have to get the chart for you. But there is, if their house is paid for, I can dissipate their assets. Like I was telling you, that guy whose house is worth $400, and I can give them $200,000. I can put that $200,000 that they're going to get from the reverse mortgage into an asset dissipation and dissipate that dollar amount over their remaining lifetime till they're 99, and then that can overcome anything else. Also, that can overcome the residual income requirement. Also, I can include taxes and insurance in the loan, and I recommend that a lot of times to seniors who are, again, they have equity in their home, but their income is, I'm working with a lady, only $1,100 a month in income. I mean, golly. So we're including the taxes and insurance in the mortgage so that for the rest of her life, those taxes and insurance are going to be paid for her. Not HOA though, just taxes and insurance. So all she'll have to do the rest of her life is pay her HOA.
Okay. Well, that's a good option. Now, can you explain just a little bit what happens with these new products, I guess, that you're talking about? Well, first off, you said that the money that the senior citizen gets from the reverse mortgage, you said, is put in some sort of savings account that has a return. Is that correct? Or is that what I heard correctly? Or please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, say that again. I didn't quite understand you.
You said the money that the senior citizen gets from the reverse mortgage, in your example, the $200,000, is then placed in some sort of other savings product that has a return.
It's a line of credit, just like if you went to your local bank and got a line of credit. The only difference with the reverse is because you could control a line of credit. You could control how much you take out, how much you borrow, how much you pay back, and you could control that. With the reverse, there's not a payment required, but what you don't use in that line of credit, the available funds that you leave in it are guaranteed to grow. And right now, I believe it's like 5.6% that they're growing right now. And you know what would be the best thing, Julia? Would be do you have a parent or anybody who's a senior? Maybe we could do a scenario and I could email you the proposal and you could look at it and you and I could walk through it so you understand it better. FHA puts together a great proposal.
I don't have a parent in the United States, but I can maybe find somebody that would be willing to look at the numbers.
Yeah, if you have a client who would be interested, I could use a fake name. It doesn't matter. But if you've got a client who would just like to look at the numbers, I need name, address, date of birth, and what their house is worth and what they owe. Those are the main things I need.
Okay.
Just to put
So you actually also, So you actually also can finance people that have a remaining loan on their house, or is it just people that own the house outright?
No, they can have a mortgage, but the FHA won't go over 50%. So like at 62, I think it's 54%. I think age 62. It's based on their age. So like if I've got, and you could also buy a house with a reverse mortgage. I do a lot of reverse purchases. That is a tool that is really underused in this marketplace. But yeah, they have to have over 50% equity in the home.
Okay.
Now the way the reverse purchase works, it's so cool. The reverse purchase, like let's say, like I was telling you a while ago, somebody wants to buy a house and they're going to pay cash. They're looking at a $1 million property and they're going to pay cash for it. They can do the reverse purchase and put down a little over half and keep the rest of that money in their pocket and still not have a house payment. Because that's why most people pay cash for a place. is they don't want to have a house payment. That's why most people do.
Okay. Okay. Can you walk through that scenario again? Because I didn't follow that. Maybe with some numbers, how people purchase a home with a reverse. Yeah.
Yeah. Like let me just pull one up right now. I haven't. Let me see. I think I'm in this loan right now. I've got a lady right now who's buying a house. Here they are, right here. Okay. Let me pull this loan up for you. They're going to sell their house, and this is real common, a senior wanting to downsize. You know, their house is too big for them, and that's what this lady said. My house is too big. We're having trouble taking care of it. My husband can't mow the grass anymore. Now we're having to hire somebody to do that. You know, a lot of da-da-da. So they're going to sell their house. They're going to take the proceeds from the sale of their home, and they're going to buy their next house with a reverse purchase. So these people, let's see, what are their ages? They were born in 40. One of them was born in 1940, and the other one was born in 48. So it's going to go by the age of the one that was born in 1948. And on a $200,000 house, they're going to put down $119. So they're going to have to bring $119,000 to the closing table, and they'll never have to make a house payment the rest of their life.
So this is another thing that strikes me as curious, because I didn't know this, but I thought that if you take up a reverse mortgage on your current home, that you actually have to live in there as well.
You do.
You're saying that you can actually downsize and move to a different home is okay?
Yeah, you can do that. You can sell the house you're in. Like, these people have to sell their house because a current loan is an FHA.
I got you.
FHA only lets you have one FHA loan. So these people don't have a choice. They have to sell that house. So we could do their closings in conjunction. I could close on the sale of their home and have things ready so that they're ready to close on their new home the following day. And I've even done it on the same day, but I like to do it the following day. So it's just a little easier, smoother process. But I have done them back to back at the closing table, at the title company back to back. But yeah, a lot of seniors, some of them will do the reverse on their current home to get rid of a house payment. Like, let's say I've got somebody who's paying a $1,400 a month house payment right now. I can do the reverse mortgage, eliminate that house payment. They could take that $1,400 a month and do repairs on the house that is needing to get top dollar for their sale of the home, like new carpet, paint, add a garage if there's not a garage. I don't know, whatever they want to do to make their house sell better. They can do a reverse mortgage on their current home, and then when they sell that home, they can take the proceeds and buy another house.
Okay. I got it now. Okay. I understand. Okay. So that would give them some capital to be able to actually sell their current home. Gotcha.
Right. Give them some money to work with so they can make repairs and get top dollar for their house. Because a lot of seniors today, they don't have, I'll tell you, I'm in the same boat. I hate it. Hopefully I won't be here in a few years, but I don't have a lot of money in the bank. I've got some money in the bank, but not a lot. And a lot of us seniors, the baby boomers, we don't have a lot of money. So to be able to live without a house payment can be a real blessing for a lot of people. Just to not have a house payment. Like, for instance, I had a lady, another California customer, who called me and talked to me about the reverse mortgage and said, no, I don't want to do that. About 4 or 5 months later, she called me back and she goes, Terie, I've got an idea. I want you to see what you think and if it's viable. I said, okay. She goes, I didn't tell you everything. The one thing I didn't tell you is that I've got a daughter who lives with me who's been disabled for years. She's got horrible credit because of all of her medical bills. She can't even rent a place because her credit is so bad. And I'm worried about what's going to happen to her when I die. Well, that lady's house payment was like $750 a month. So this was her idea. She goes, I'm going to go ahead and do the reverse mortgage so I don't have a house payment. I'm going to take a portion of that house payment and I'm going to take all of that house payment and put it in the bank. So when I die, my daughter has that money in the bank. She has all that money to live on. but I'm also going to take that portion of the house payment and buy a life insurance policy that will be worth enough to pay off the house when I die. So that when I die, she's got that money in the bank and the life insurance policy will pay off the house for her. I thought that was so smart.
That was smart.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at the smart things people come up with.
Yeah, and she came up with that. And that was a lady under the stress. You know, she was worried about her daughter, and that's how she came up with that. I thought that was a great idea. So not only is she freeing herself up monthly on the house payment, she's also giving her daughter life insurance. And I've told that idea to other seniors, and I know this. I don't know much about life insurance, but I've had quite a few of them that were over 80 that said, well, it wouldn't be something I could afford to do. So I don't remember how old this lady was, but she must have been in her late 60s or 70s or something. I don't remember. But I'm not familiar with life insurance, but that was her idea.
Very good. So, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you gave me a lot of really good information. I really appreciate that.
Good.
Did you want to talk a little bit about that client of yours? Because I kind of got a little bit of the story.
Yes, Jack Dixon. Yes. He's got 25 acres down in Adairsville, right by what he calls the ABC Triangle, Atlanta, Birmingham, Chattanooga. And he's got 25 acres in what is called the Shenandoah Parkway. I think I may have emailed you a flyer on that. But he needs to sell that property to an investor who will buy the property and let him have a life estate. And you know, he'll sell it for a couple $100,000 under what the house is worth. The property is worth more than the house.
Okay.
Because it's an industrial area.
Okay, and so this is one client that you weren't able to help with a reverse mortgage?
He's the one where the wife refused to sign. And we found out later why she refused to sign was because when we went to get a house, we found because remember his name wasn't on the mortgage, it was in her name only. So when we pulled her credit, she had gone and gotten a mortgage, and he didn't know she had done it. He had the house in her name only because he owned a business, and he kept all their personal stuff in her name. And as far as he was concerned, the house was paid for. But during the process of doing the reverse mortgage, we found out that she had taken out like $130,000 mortgage on it. And so, you know, but then now she's passed away, and he can't afford it on his own, and he's about to be foreclosed on. He's going to be facing foreclosure here soon if I don't help him. I'm hoping somebody will help him. He's such a sweet guy, and his house is gorgeous. So anybody you could know that might help him, that would just be incredible.
Okay, so you just, I mean, I'll make sure I'll discuss that, but the point with that is that, so do you recommend then that a couple would get on a reverse mortgage, or is there?
Yeah,
maybe...
I personally think one of the biggest reasons to get a reverse mortgage, if you don't need it income-wise, you know, there's the need-based reverse mortgage where somebody can't make their house payment, kind of like Jack, or somebody, their medical expenses have gotten out of whack, and do I eat or do I make my house payment? That's the income reason. But to me, the main reason is to protect your spouse. So like Jack, if he had a reverse mortgage, he wouldn't have any problems. He's got plenty of money to live on. But with that house payment looming over him, it's higher than his Social Security income. So, you know, he's in a negative. He can't do it. So, you know, but that's one of the biggest, I think the most important reason to do a reverse mortgage is to protect your spouse, because both of you are guaranteed to have a roof over your head no matter what happens to the economy. As long as you pay your taxes and insurance, you're good, you know. And I think that's a huge thing for seniors. Because we don't get those incomes like we used to. Used to, when your spouse died, you got their Social Security too until you died. That doesn't happen anymore.
That's true. That's changing. Everything's changing with the Social Security these days as well.
Yep.
Okay. Well, great. I have recorded this call. It's been very informational. With your permission, I'd like to play it on the air tomorrow or whenever my next airtime is. Would you want to give people your information, or how people can get in touch with you to ask you questions?
I would love to. So what I would need you to do would be to call my manager and get permission. Because the Federal Savings Bank, I mean, they're real big on compliance, you know. And let me give you my manager's name and number.
Okay.
And thanks for having tuned into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. That interview you just heard was with Terie Bradford. I did get permission from her manager, and so we're airing this interview here on the air today. And if you only caught the last bit of it, it was basically a discussion interview I had with a loan officer that specializes in reverse mortgage products. So I asked her a couple questions. Now, if you have more questions about the topic, feel free to email me. I can be reached at realestate@juliamspencer.com. You can also reach me through the wruu.org website. You can just go there to archives and to Wednesday at noon, and you'll have my show there, my face, and a couple of archives too. And you can also, in the next couple of weeks, you'll also be able to rehear this show there because I'll post it there. I usually also post the shows on my YouTube channel. Really easy to find, Julia M. Spencer. Of course, all my videos on YouTube are free to watch. And I hope you found this informational. I hope you had enjoyed listening to it, got some insights that you may have not been aware of before. Thanks for having tuned in. You're listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And the next show that's on this station will be Mother Beat with Ben. And I hope you have an awesome, great rest of your Wednesday. And can tune in again sometime in the future, hopefully, for my next show. And and also, I wanted to also let you know on Sunday from 10 p.m. till midnight, I'll be hosting some music, so you can tune in then too. And have a great Wednesday, everybody.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.